who lived between the area of Medina and Syria. They lived between these areas of Medina and Syria, and until today many archaeologists say that if you go to the northwestern regions of Saudi Arabia, you'll see some of their houses are still there on the Rocky Mountains. Because the people of Thamood were very prosperous people who had houses which were carved out of the Rocky Mountains. Grand houses. They at the same time as well had great water reserve, great water resources. They had beautiful fertile land. They had a great amount of sheep, a great amount of cattle. In other words, they were people who were very prosperous. You found that these people who were prosperous were living at a time when each and every one of them was making a great amount of money within the industries which they worked. What happened was that while they were prosperous, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what does He want from you when you are prosperous? Number one, He wants you to be thankful. Quran says, when you thank Allah, He will increase your prosperity, without a doubt. The more a person gives shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will increase his prosperity. Number two, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also wants to see that from that generosity, from that sustenance, that prosperity that I've shown to you, I want you to give it back to the people. Don't be stingy. When I've given you water, when I've given you fertile land, when I've given you grazing animal, do not be stingy. Try and share it out with the people. The people of Thamood were people who, although had this land, the first act which made Prophet Salih, who was the Prophet amongst them, the first act which made Prophet Salih speak out against them, what was it? It was the act that they were oppressive towards the poor of their community. How? They had this great water reserve. The poor of the community wanted a share of this reserve. They wanted to take some of the water. The rich of the community said, no, that water belongs to us. Nobody can come and have any of the water except the rich of the community. You see, a question arises here. In an Islamic economic system, what is the position of water? Please listen and bear with me carefully on this point. In Islamic economics, if you are a student of economics here, what is the position of water as a natural resource? Where does it fit in the Islamic economic system? Does it fit under public property, state property, or private property? You find Islamic economic system, what does it say? It says when you build a state, the state has to be divided into three. Public property, state property, and private property. Private property means my right for individual ownership. I can individually own that which I want. State property is that which the state acquires and then shares out to the different classes, or to the different members of the community. Water as a natural resource in Islamic economics comes under public property. Which means what? Which means you can't deny a single human being in an Islamic economic system of their supply of water. Please understand this point. In Islamic economics, water cannot be denied to any human being. Why? Because the state is the guardian of the natural resources. Water is a natural resource. The state has to be able to supply water as a basic necessity to the human being. Because we know very well that the human being cannot survive without this liquid. The human being requires water as a natural resource. A state cannot come and say, we have the water but the poor cannot have. In Islamic economics, a state says water is public property. Have you seen sometimes in parks there are water fountains? Even in this country. If you go to a park, you press a button, a water fountain. You even go to a university, you press a button, a water fountain. Because water in many economic systems was seen as a piece of public property. Under the guardianship of the state, it can't be owned by anyone. It may be franchised. It can't be owned by a human being. You could give it out for different people to supply. That's why I remember Amir al-Mu'minin at Saffin, when he saw Muawiyah's army with the water, and Amr ibn al-As and Muawiyah would not give him any water. So Imam Ali said to his soldiers, go and win that water back. They went and they won the water. When Muawiyah and Amr ibn al-As's army became thirsty, they came forward and said, listen, we have the water. We don't have the water anymore. Can we take the water off you? The companions of Imam Ali thought, no way. I said, you didn't give us the water. Why should we give you? but Amir al-Mu'mineen is higher than his companions. And he looked at them and he said, no, give them the water. I said, why? He said, I can't bear to see a horse thirsty, let alone a human being.
Wow.
That water is a natural resource which is public property for the whole state. The people of Thamood, the first act which made Prophet Salih speak out against them was the fact that they were denying a basic right like water to the state. The second act which made Prophet Salih speak out against them was their idol worshipping. Someone asked the question, Sayyid Ammar in the last few nights has told us about many nations who worship idols. How does a human being get to that level of having to worship an idol? The human being loves to touch that which he believes in. A human being, he wants to use his senses. If you tell him to believe in that which is unseen, he finds it difficult. Even though he'll look around this room today and not see electricity that's necessarily moving. Even though he may not see the waves of an X-ray machine, but he'll tell you, yes, I believe that there are waves and there is electricity and current moving. If you tell the human being there is a Lord who exists but you cannot see, he'll say, what do you mean? Everything I see, everything I believe in must be seen. You notice in history, many human beings have to touch something for them to determine its reality. Even with the followers of Ahlul Bayt today, you find that they have to touch that tariq when they go near the mosques of Ahlul Bayt. If you tell him, say your salams from outside, he'll say, no way, I have to touch that tariq, then I feel comfortable. You find that the human being wants that, but the difference with the tariq and an idol is the tariq, you haven't come to worship the tariq. You've come to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the name of the person in the tariq. Whereas an idol, you've come and you bow yourself before the idol and you actually believe that that idol will help you. You find that they were idol worshippers. Prophet Salih came to them, he said to them, look, as for the issue of water, you've denied the poor water. As for the issue of the idols, you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you know about His existence. They looked at him and they said, Salih, we used to respect you in our community. You are a good man. What are you doing speaking out? He said, it's not that I'm speaking out because I want to lose my friendship. I notice many of you are now caring more about the idol than you are caring about the Lord who created the heavens and the earth. You must reflect upon yourself. They said to him, Salih, if you don't stay quiet, then you'll be in trouble. At the beginning, brothers and sisters, they said, you'll be in trouble. In a few moments, I'll show you how you destroy a message alone. I'll explain. You find that they said to him, you'll be in trouble. He kept speaking out. He kept speaking out until they said to him, Salih, very well. You say to us there's a God we can't see? He said, yes. You say to us that this God is the all-powerful? He said, yes. They said, you see all those mountains? Because they used to all live on the mountains, all rocky mountains. You see all of those mountains? He said, yes. They said to him, do you see the one which is alone over there? He said, yes, I see it. They said, if your God exists, let a she-camel be born out of that mountain. He said, what do you mean? They said, we'll believe in your God. We'll leave all the idols alone. A camel, let it be born coming out of that mountain. He said to them, so if I actually ask my Lord to allow a she-camel to be born from that mountain, all of you will believe in the message of Allah? They said, all of us will believe. He said, very well. You see, someone asks the question, how's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala going to create a she-camel from a mountain? That's ridiculous. You're the same human being who came from a piece of dust, weren't you? Where did you come from? You originally came from a piece of dust. Forget the human that came from dust. You're the same human who believed that a stick one day became a snake. Forget the snake from the stick. You're the same human who one day saw Ismail and then suddenly saw a sheep in front of him. What, that sheep's mother came and carried it and said, there you go. That sheep was put there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He wants something, He says, Kun, fayakun. Be, and it will be. If these people are saying to me, they want a she-camel from a mountain, a she-camel from a mountain is hard for me. Let's let a she-camel come out of that mountain. A she-camel emerges from the mountain. Then after that, the she-camel has its offspring walking with it. They looked at it, they said, this is unbelievable. I said, maybe Salih is true. Maybe he's right. That we have to believe in his Lord. What the she-camel, what would it do? One day it would drink water. The next day they would have access to the water. It's as if Allah was teaching them to learn how to share. Because some of us human beings can be very miserly in our life. We don't like sharing what Allah has given us. You ask someone, share from that which Allah has given you. I'm sorry, I don't have time to share anything. Allah